In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a histogram in Google Sheets. There's many different ways to do this. This is just one option. What I've done is I've downloaded some data about the Summer Olympics and the number of medals that Canada has won in the Summer Olympics. So I'm just going to use this data. I've decided I'm going to make a histogram of the gold medals that Canada has won over the years. So to do that, I'm going to highlight my column of data that I have. And then I'm going to, up here at the top right here, it says Insert Chart. I'm going to click on that. And I see a chart shows up with my data. This isn't a histogram. Right now it's set up as a column chart. So I'm going to change that to a histogram. So I'm going to click over here on the right. I'm going to click on my list of suggestion. As I scroll down, there's lots of options of different types of graphs. You can pick any of them. Under Other here, there's a histogram chart. So if I click on histogram chart, there's my graph. Not very pretty. The bars are weird bin widths. So I want to adjust some of that stuff. Okay. Note that when I highlighted my data, I highlighted this word gold here. And because I highlighted that data, over here on the right, it says use row 1 as headers. And so when I click that on, the gold, which was in the top of my column, shows up as the current title for this histogram. I'm going to change that title later, okay? But note that if I have this button clicked on and I do not have a title, so number 1 was my first value, the number 1 would end up here as a title and would not be part of the data set, and you would have an incorrect graph, so be careful with that. If I click somewhere off of this graph, my information disappears on editing the graph. So all to get it, I'm just going to double click on the graph again. My chart editor shows up. Okay, so let's do some changes. So in here in our chart editor, I have setup, and then to the right, I have customize. So in customize, I'm going to change some things. Lots of things I can change. So chart style. If I want any of the colors and stuff like that, I'm going to leave it as is, but you're welcome to change things. Under histogram, this is where I'm going to change my bin width. In this program, it calls it the bucket size, and it sets it as an auto. So in here, I'm going to change that. I can say a bucket size of 1, bucket size of 2. I'm going to leave it at 2. You'll notice now it's going 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, but my top number is 10.5, which is really weird. We're going to have to adjust that shortly. Okay. Play with these buttons if you want, see what they do. Under title and axes titles, I can change my title here. Under chart title, I'm going to change this, graph 1, number of Summer Olympic gold medals won by Canada. Oops. I ended up changing that by mistake. Anyway, you can adjust it as needed. You'll notice that as I typed there, it was changing up here. If you want, you can always just double check on the click on the title and you can make changes right in there if you want. Okay. Also on here under this chart and title and axes titles, if I click here, I have options. I can do a chart subtitle if I want. So in here I can say give the dates 1900 to 2016. I can change my horizontal axes, number of gold medals. I can change my vertical axes and write frequency. But you can change it to whatever you'd like. You can change it, make them bold, change the font sizes, etc. Under series right now, I only have one series of data being graphed, so not much in here. Legend, if we needed a legend, I can click on that and add one in. Horizontal axes, this is where I can adjust these numbers on my horizontal axes, my minimal value of 0. And instead of 10.5, since I want these bars going up by 2, I'm going to go from 10 up to 12. And you'll notice it just changed it right there for me. Okay, and so now it kind of makes sense that all my bars are of equal width. Okay, so that was my horizontal axis. I can adjust that. I can change my labels on here if I want, etc. Vertical axis, same idea. If I had a minimum and maximum I wanted, right now it's going from 0 to 12. You can make adjustments in there. Okay. The last thing that you can change are your grid lines. So on the grid lines, I can change my vertical axis grid lines if I want. Right now, I only have these ones that are at the every 2 values. I can change the color of those. If I want to make them darker, I can make them darker. If I want minor grid lines as well, I can add some in. Now, these numbers are weird. This doesn't say total. It's giving the total number of grid lines you want to see. So not your scale of what you want to go up by. So if I want to see 2 of these minors, it's going to show 2 in between each of the majors. If I want to show just 1 line in between each of those majors, I would put a 1 in there. And now there's a tick at every single value, okay? And then every second value. So it's a little bit weird in that sense. Again, you can adjust this and make it darker, lighter, change your colors however you see fit. Now remember, colors are nice, but colors are only nice if you have a color printer. So if you don't have a color printer, make your colors different variations of grays, blacks, okay? So that's how you create a graph in Google Sheets. Next, I want to import this into my document. So I'm just going to click on those 3 dots that are right there. I'm going to copy my chart. I'm going to open up my Google Doc. I'm going to hit, I can either right click or I can go up to edit and paste. I'm going to paste. It asks me, do I want to link to spreadsheet? I'm going to click that, hit yes. There's my paste. Because it's linked to the spreadsheet, if I go back to this spreadsheet and let's say I wanted to change this title, I want to say number of Olympic gold medals won by Canada. I made that change. I don't want to have to copy and paste again because it's linked. If I go over here, notice on the graph, it now says update. So if I click on that update, it's going to update it to whatever the changes were. Okay. At the bottom here in this document, I can change it based on the text. So if I can wrap the text around it, I can change the margins, etc. of how the text goes around this graph. I can adjust sizes of this graph, make it smaller and bigger. I can add some borders around that graph, etc. Okay, there you go.